the club, I believe, has officially announced the trade that just occurred between the Houston Astros, Tampa Bay Rays, and the Orioles, 3-team trade. We have received right-handed pitcher Seth Johnson from the Rays organization, right-handed pitcher Chase McDermott from the Astros organization, and obviously Trey Mancini is going to the Astros. I think it's best to get into questions, but this is certainly a very weighty trade for us, given everything that has transpired the last few years, everything that Trey has meant to this organization since having been drafted, and what is happening with our organization, both in the major and minor leagues right now. There are a lot of considerations that go into making trades, especially this time of year. I can't, describe to you the deliberation that has gone into this team's approach to the trade deadline in general, but also this trade in particular. And I think that the bottom line is this is an organization for which we feel a championship window is opening. And we have an opportunity to seek players at this point in time that may contribute to that window and the pursuit of multiple playoff appearances over the next several years here in Baltimore. And part of the reason our division is so difficult is the teams that are in our division have done such a spectacular job over the last decade of balancing present, future, near-term, long-term considerations with their moves. And it's important for us to do the same thing. I think that when a player is a free agent in 9 weeks, you have to consider opportunities to bring in high upside talent that has the potential to contribute many years down the road. And that's what we see in these two pitchers, Seth Johnson in particular from the Rays. We view, and the industry is viewed at times as a top 100 talent, and unfortunately is undergoing injury right now, but I think that's what has made him available. And Chase McDermott is performing very well as a 4th-round pick from the Astros in high A. He's in a bit of a hitter's environment there in Asheville, but his strikeout numbers, his innings totals, and his stuff point to a lot of future success. So I think we bolstered our pitching depth as an organization, but this is certainly a very difficult move to make. But I think it's one that characterizes our optimism for the future. Those next several years, we want to continue building towards that with the high bar that we have to climb. And I'm looking forward to seeing what we can discuss with Trey Mancini as a free agent.
Thank you, Mike. Our first question is from Nathan Ruiz.
Mike, you kind of touched on all this, but how do you kind of justify this move to a fan base that sees a corner being turned and just lost one of its favorite players?
I think that since we have started at the end of 2018, there have been a lot of very difficult decisions that have enabled us to make progress and to continue to make progress towards the competition and rivalries that we ultimately have with the Blue Jays, the Rays, the Red Sox, and the Yankees. And difficult decisions are going to continue to be a part of that. And I think I've said all along that the organization is going to have to do business in a manner that is more balancing of the present and future than perhaps it had in the past. This is the nature of the competition that we're in with these other teams and with the rest of the league. And we have a tremendous amount of reinforcements, I believe, on the way that will continue to come up and help this team. And also we've got another 24 hours or so before this trade deadline is expired. So I am tremendously proud of and pleased what our players and coaches have done so far this year. I'm looking forward to what they're continuing to do. But ultimately it's my job to maintain the health of the organization. There are trade-offs in that. In anything that we do, there are pros and cons. And I believe that having made this trade, the overall organization is stronger. And like I said, we're going to be in a position to see what free agency brings us, both for Trey and for us.
Zach Silver.
Hey, Mike, you kind of also just touched on it there, but where do, as much as you're willing to share, the next 24 hours look? What is, without, whatever you want to share again, what kind of art is being entertained right now, and what do you sort of potentially see the next 24 hours looking like?
It's a full spectrum of conversations right now. Things are moving very fast around the industry. I can't prognosticate anything right now other than we're listening and working on all types of possibilities.
Rich Dubroff.
Hey, Mike, how much did the club standing right now affect your decision here?
Rich, I think I think the winning the 500 record that we have, the winning last couple of months that we have, the momentum that we have has made this a much more difficult decision and a much more complicated trade deadline than it would have been, or that any of the past ones have been. But ultimately, I have to tether my decisions to our outlook in the probabilities for this year. And we have a shot at a wild card right now, but it is not a probability that we're going to win a wild card. We have all different ways of looking at that, and moves that we make that can strengthen our chances for next season and the season beyond and the one beyond that are something that we have to continue to consider, despite the tremendous progress that our players have made this year and our coaches have made. And so ultimately, that's why we did it. We're getting 2 upside pitching prospects back. I think Seth Johnson, getting him healthy, he projects as a mid-rotation starter. He has since the draft. This was something that, you don't get opportunities like this if they're not difficult. And ultimately, we decided to make this trade, but it's certainly a bittersweet moment. And, it's very emotional for me personally and all of us saying goodbye to Trey for the next couple of months. But I love the guy. I am so happy that he's going to a team that is going to treat him well, that's going to be a fun city and ballpark and lineup to play in, that I think is going to give him a chance to win a World Series. And, we'll see where it goes after that.
And Connolly.
Like a 3-team trade is fairly unusual, especially for the Orioles. How did that come about? And specifically, I mean, you're dealing with 2 teams that have a lot of pitching. Why go 1-1, or was that something another team wanted you to do?
This trade came about primarily through discussions with the Astros. They, I think, felt that Trey Mancini was a really good fit for their needs at this deadline, with the right-handed bat, the corner outfield abilities, the first base abilities, the DH spot. And we had been concentrated on having talks with the Astros for the last few days, most intensely. Ultimately, they mentioned that they might be able to facilitate something with the Rays that could strengthen the package coming back to us. Obviously, the Rays were interested in getting Jose Siri, and it worked out.
All right, we have a few more minutes for questions. Rock Tobacco, go ahead.
Like, jumping topics real quick here. Today was a deadline for signing draft picks. Where do things stand in the organization?
Well, we had a few players with whom we were not able to reach an agreement. That's always unfortunate. Some of them were a little bit more surprising than others. But we did sign Carter Young from Vanderbilt today. And I think that's a very exciting development for our draft class, and adding to what is tremendous shortstop depth up and down our organization right now. And so that was good. But by not signing our 3rd round pick, we will receive compensation in next year's draft, and we'll look forward to that.
Cordell Woodland.
Hey, Mike. How long were you guys in conversations with Trey? Was he kind of up to date on, that talks maybe with the Astros or any other teams you may have been talking to talking to about him? And how confident are you that you guys would be able to possibly do something in the offseason with each other?
We certainly haven't talked specific trade possibilities with him. That's not, I don't think something that he'd be interested in. He's a pro and he's been around the league a long time, and he's known for the last year and a half really that he's been the subject of trade speculation, if this was a possibility. I think, and we talked to him about it today, I think he's very, very proud of what he's accomplished, what he means for the city. And will always mean for the city, and what he helped this team do to, we hope, turn the corner. But this isn't a journey that ends for the Baltimore Orioles nor for him in the next 6-7 weeks at the end of the year. This is a multi-year persistent plan to compete that we're trying to enact. And he's going to go get a chance with a team that's running away with the division to perhaps go all the way. And we're going to continue to build and join that club here soon. And like I said, free agency can lead to all kinds of possibilities, and certainly we'll continue to stay in touch.
Steve Molesky.
Mike, as you mentioned, you feel your championship window is opening. As it relates only though to the 22 team, close in a race right now, do you have concerns about the players left in the clubhouse and losing someone that was so important to them and what it'll mean to them?
The trade deadline is always hard for teams when they're trading away major league players. Look, this is obviously very significant with Trey's tenure with the team and with the cohesiveness in our clubhouse right now. And I know everyone's emotional about it, but we also have a lot of young players that have seized a lot of terrific opportunities this year because of spots that have been open. And I'm hopeful that we'll continue to do that. We just selected Yusniel Diaz. We have other players on the horizon. We'll see what happens here in the next 24 hours. And I think that this is a very talented group that is just getting started. And I think that we're going to keep playing hard and pushing ahead this season.
We have time for one more question from Zach Silver.
Like on the Nolan McLean, Carter Young situation, was it a surprise that you weren't able to come to terms with McLean? And did Carter kind of come about because that fell through, or maybe didn't come about?
Well, I think whenever you select somebody that high in the draft, you do so with the intention of signing them. And, it does happen that agreements aren't reached ultimately. And we regret that this is how it played out. But in terms of our draft, ultimately, we will receive another similar pick in next year's draft. And yes, the draft pool system made it so that we were able to meet Carter Young's demands with a couple, with a little bit of time left before the signing deadline. This was a very quick signing period this year, and it made for some fast dynamics on that front. But we're thrilled that we got him signed. I know he's excited about being able to go pro and join an organization that really wants him.